you doing?
How you
Doctor?
Hello, everybody. Can't see any of you, so I don't know if you're with the federal authorities or not. If you are, I'm sorry.
Sit down now.
Well, one of the questions I wanted to ask is how each of you got involved in this project, because I'm a huge wrestling fan, have been all my life. I've watched you, obviously, with ECW and the WWE. How did you get involved with this project? Because it's so neat.
You have to excuse me because my voice is kind of going because I have Ebola and crabs. It's just it's so bad because they kind of massage all the time, you know. I saw an ad for audition, casting call to come in and audition for a part in an independent film in Louisville, Kentucky. And I thought, you know, I'll give it a shot. I've done some other movies and some other acting, and my magic act for the blind hadn't quite panned out quite yet, even though they do love card tricks, just so you know. You just gotta say to die after every trick or they don't know anything happened. I went and I auditioned for it, and I was trying for any kind of part in the movie, and I was very fortunate to get the lead role. So.
John, tell us a little bit how you got involved.
Yeah, well, Matt Niehoff, who was one of the directors and writers on the things, was an acquaintance of mine. We knew each other very loosely from the film community in the Kentucky area, and he had reached out to me saying that they were going to try to do their first feature, and they had a role that they were considering me for. They asked me to come in and read for the part of Max. They had me read for Max and Rafe, but did I get it? Sorry. I didn't want Rafe anyway. But yeah, so I auditioned, and a week later I got the call. I said, you're going to be Max, and your partner is Al Snow. I said, oh shit. Okay, and that's that.
So when you were told you were going to be working with Al Snow, were you a wrestling fan, or did you know anything about Al Snow, or had you worked with him before?
No, we'd never met. It's actually kind of funny. I was a wrestling fan, especially at the time, and the reason I got into wrestling as a fan, because I wasn't into it at all as a kid. I'd never followed it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, but one of my best friends at the time really was, and so I was like, man, you got to watch it with me sometime. And he turned me on to Tough Enough on MTV, and that's what kind of pulled me into wrestling. Was this asshole right here? So yeah, when I found out I was going to be working with Al Snow, it was a very cool thing. And it's all downhill from there.
You can tell how much it really meant.
Well, the one thing I've noticed with this film is you guys got some great chemistry on film. Am I right, folks? Yeah. Have you guys, are you looking into other projects, or have you worked on other projects together? You can't get rid of this guy.
We've done several together. We were in Piranha Sharks together, Penny Dreadful Picture Show.
We weren't together.
Well, not like, purely platonic. But yeah, we work together all the time. We just did Loss Prevention together, which is it's kind of like an action movie, and we actually played at odds on that. He's kind of one of the heroes, and I was the bad guy, which is a lot of fun. And we're going to be working on a short film together that I'm actually producing. And so yeah, we stay in touch with our partner here. Say something.
Oh, I will. Oh, we haven't had to work as partners, and I gotta say that, you know, if you guys watch the movie and you know the scene where Max is outside the house as I'm being informed that I forgot my son's birthday, and I walk out, that literally was the very first time we had ever met, was that scene. Was that very first day was the first time we'd ever met.
Sparks flew. And
Sparks flew. After we filmed that scene, we rolled around in the grass in a very graphically intense lover's embrace that, you know, the neighborhood association is still reeling from to this day. The lady with the hose that was in that other scene, she came over and sprayed us to separate us. So we were locked together in a lover's embrace. It was monumental.
So that's kind of a perfect segue into my next question. I was going to ask.
Sure. Wow, I can only imagine what that question
I was going to
is.
ask with all of the obvious on-screen chemistry. I was going to ask, did you guys have any favorite moments while you were making the movies?
Favorite moments? I would honestly, I'd like that scene when we walked out of the house. The scene with John when we first walk into the lab, and he asks me, you know, where's everybody? And I'm like, how the fuck do I know? I don't work here. You know, there's a couple of scenes that really stand out that you can kind of see where we just click, and we don't, you know, we were given a lot of latitude, as you can clearly see. There's a certain word that's used quite often throughout the film. It starts with an F and ends with a K. You gotta please excuse us because the film was done over about a year's time. We didn't realize that we had used that word quite so frequently until it was already kind of done. And if you guys want to buy the DVD, you can use it as a drinking game with your friends. Take a shot every time you hear that word.
Yeah,
And,
there was a script.
there was a
Sort
script.
of. We kind of used it loosely as, you know, we'd show up on set every day and we'd see what scenes we had. We'd look at the script and we'd kind of be like, all right, so this is where we start, this is where we end. Let's fuck everything in the middle, and we'll you know, whatever we got from point A to point B is, you know, we'll get there however it works out. So.
Well, I mean, I'm curious. I mean, Al, we know a lot about you with, you know, everything you've done with ECW, WWE, and that. Hey, John, you look pretty fit yourself. I mean, have you had any wrestling experience prior to all this?
Oh God, no. No, and I, like I said, I'm a fan. You know, I don't follow closely, but I'm a very big fan, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for what these guys do. And it's a lot more than I'm willing to do physically. So
I feel you, man. I really. No, Al, I have to ask this, and I'm sure a lot of the folks out here, you have had a career that spanned over 30 years. And I've got to know, what is your favorite match with everything you've done with the Attitude Era, with ECW? What is the match that stands out with you that really says, wow, that was great, I couldn't have topped it?
That's hard because after, you know, it'll be 34 years this year. It's pick one. But I guess moments like, you know, when Asbury Park and the ECW pay-per-view, when they came out, you know, Shane Douglas and Chris Candido and Lance Storm, and there were about 4,800 heads in the audience, and they did the strobe light effect and all of that. That was a pretty big moment, and I would have to say that probably stand out about the most. Yeah.
So I would like to know, since you had 34 years in the wrestling industry, now you're getting into the movie business, what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie? Do you guys want to know what my favorite movie is?
Yes.
It's the best movie ever made. You want to know what the best movie ever made is?
Overtime.
We didn't bribe him, I swear.
No, not midget porn. I know. It is pretty popular. It is tough to wrangle them on the set, though. So run under furniture. They'll hide. They're really hard to catch. They're fast. Their little legs just.
back to that favorite movie.
Favorite movie would have to be A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
It's the best movie ever made. who can't relate to being a child on Christmas? And who can't relate to being an adult with a child on Christmas? And then watching that story play out until he finally gets the ultimate thing of his affection, which is the Red Ryder, Range Rider BB gun with a compass in the stock. He shoots his eye out. And I mean, it's the most awesome movie ever made, unquestionably.
All right. Okay. Well, I don't know about you. I'd love to hear some of your questions here, folks.
You can ask any question. The only dumb one's the one you don't ask.
All right, gentleman right there in the back. I
We're
can
all
barely
adults.
make you out with the spotlight.
We're all adults.
Ellis, okay.
Al, have you seen A Christmas Story 2?
Yes.
It's
and
horrible, right?
Here is, I would like to drive right now, all of us get in a car. I would like us all to drive to the producer's house and beat the shit.
I love you.
Leprechaun too. How many of you have seen Leprechaun? I want to, and M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. I want to punch him in the face. Made me so angry.
All right, yes, sir, right there in the purple.
Actually, I would like John's, what his favorite movie is at being an actor.
That's,
Yeah.
I could never pick just one movie.
Oh, stop.
As far as a movie that I will never get tired of, anytime I'm flipping channels, if it's on, I will stop whatever I'm doing, I'll sit down and watch it. Probably The Princess Bride.
All right, and yes, sir, right here.
All right, I've got a question for Mr. Wells. How was it that you first got into acting, Mr. What were your beginnings?
I kind of, well, it's, I mean, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, which I was always a big, thank you. People from Louisville here, Jesus Christ. And I had always been a huge film geek. You know, I loved film. I would, always get the DVD with the most features, watch all the BTS stuff. So I've always been fascinated with filmmaking. But aspiring to be an actor growing up in Louisville, Kentucky is like wanting to be an astronaut. You know, it's just, it never seemed feasible. It's until an independent film producer actually approached me and said, you've got this look for this thing I want to do. Would you come do a screen test? I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. So I went and I did a screen test, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I started networking, and that's the key there, is just networking and meeting people and reaching out and webbing out as much as you can. And it kind of consumed me, and it's still, I mean, it's everything I do is revolve around film. It's awesome.
Plus, he did some things in college and needed the money.
Everybody experiments in college.
Don't Google. Do not Google. And thank God YouTube wasn't around when I was in school. All right, folks, who else we got? Yes, sir.
So for Al, obviously wrestling takes so much character and charisma. Was the transition from the wrestling ring to the big screen like an easy one, or like what was the process there?
It's, being a wrestler is one thing, but being an actor is a totally different thing, because there's totally different expectations, rules, skill set, and you have to develop individual experiences in acting to develop the skills in comparison to wrestling. Wrestling's not acting. It's nowhere near it. A lot of people equate it to the same, but it's not. It's completely two different worlds. And, to think that you can walk right out of wrestling and, I've been wrestling, so, I've been portraying a character, so I can just walk. Is my voice not sexy? Is it? I mean, this is like a baby making voice right now. Is it not? I mean, it's awesome. sorry, I have conversational ADD. But to be able to walk right out of wrestling and then assume that you can just walk right into acting, that they're two different environments. Wrestling is more of an interactive, reactive, living, breathing thing as far as creating a story. And acting is a written, presented, here's the story, and you wait. Once, if I'm not correct, tell me if I'm wrong. You perform, you do your scenes, you do your role, and then you literally have to wait for sometimes almost a year for the post-production to watch it played out in front of an audience like yourselves to see if it ever worked, if it ever connected, if it ever told a story and evoked the emotion that you were looking for. And it's a totally different world. As opposed to, I can come in here and when I'm wrestling, I have an emotional control over the story while I'm doing it. Where there, I have to rely on so many other things. It's dramatically different. It's a very long answer to a very short question. I apologize.
All right.
Any other questions? Yes. You, the semi-attractive male.
Al,
Yes.
with so many years in the wrestling business, I just gotta know, who's your favorite person that you ever got to work with?
My favorite person to ever wrestle would have to be me. I love me. I can't get enough of me. I mean, I'm surprised that the topic of conversation has not been all about me. We could speak for hours about me. And if I'm certainly gonna wrestle anybody, it's gonna be me. In fact, I plan on, if I were here alone, I've got my lovely woman up there. Hi, Jessica. I love you. If she weren't here, I'd go back to the hotel and wrestle me. So, the wonderful thing about being a wrestler is that you have action figures made of yourself, so you can play with me. So, that's probably my most favorite opponent is.
You're taking the next question.
John, any action figures in your future?
Hell yeah. I've got an inflatable John Wells doll right now. It's got a flow.
I want two.
Any more questions from the audience here?
Oh, yeah.
How did you guys prep for your characters for this? Like,
There was no prep whatsoever. This movie, more than any other, it's extremely unique. I mean, you watch it, it's a very weird movie. But it has a, I do a lot of very serious dramas and like period pieces, which is a completely different type of acting from what we do with something like this, and as opposed to really diving in and just being in this immersive, connective material where something like Overtime is very self-aware. It is a ridiculous scenario. The characters, it's almost kind of like they're in on the gag. When we first read the script, I mean, it was very ridiculous. It was obvious that it was kind of an homage to movies, sort of like Big Trouble in Little China and From Dusk Till Dawn. Those kind of very, very self-aware kind of cult movies. Which is a lot of fun, but it's a totally different kind of acting. So it's not really the same type of character prep that I would put into, like a heavy drama or something like that. It's really just kind of dive in and have fun.
Myself, each day I would show up on set, I would put on my pants, I would put on that shirt, that horrible shirt that I wore for months and stunk. I would let my hair down, and then I would go do the film. That was my prep movie. So,
Okay, I think we got time for one more.
When
I'm
you
sure we
guys
have
were,
time for many more. Yes.
we have plenty of time.
once you guys are going into the scenes where you're actually fighting out of the lab, did you ever come across one of those aliens and look at their makeup and be like, what the fuck is this?
I swear to God, I don't know how many times I literally because some of that stuff was gross. You know what I mean? It genuinely, you gotta, now keep in mind, did you guys enjoy the film? Seriously, and you don't have to say you did or not. I mean, did you? Okay. Keep in mind, the budget was $2,500 for this movie.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah, what?
That's impressive.
And most of that was spent on Subway and cheap pizza. Feed us. That and KY jelly and food coloring, condoms. Not for, that was for the after party.
The blood that they used was a KY jelly.
Yeah. So you have to understand, I think the effects they were all practical effects. Some of it was digital, but most of the blood and things like that, and those proboscis and things, the penises, those were all practical. And I thought that they did an amazing job. When they first pitched to me the finale of the movie, which was you're going to face off against, Dr. Boland and tentacles are going to come out of her, and I'm thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, how are we going to be able to pull this off? And what you guys don't see is that literally, this is the magic of movies, okay? The tentacles, did they look okay? Did the tentacles look okay? They look okay. I thought they did, right? And maybe I'm biased because I was fighting them, but they literally were just wire bent with pipe insulation.
There was a power drill.
That they painted green. They put a lot of KY jelly on. And they had two guys with power drills, with battery operated power drills, standing behind her, running them, and them undulating because they had bent the wire. That was it. And they pushed them forward out of these pod things on her side, which were gross love handles. And they looked like alien tentacles. The proboscis, or the tentacle coming out of that pod, was the grabbers that mechanics use to pick up screws and things like that, where they push in a little spring and these little prongs come out. They took the prongs off and they literally just wrapped, again, some kind of pipe wrap, painted it green. Excuse me, do you have a beeper? Do you have a pager?
This is a long story. Apparently, I can't understand what mute means on my phone.
Caddyshack. Remember Caddyshack? He had the beeper, Dr. Beeper had. And the guy stood behind. Remember the scene where, she attacked Kyle, who had such a horrible voice, they had to voice over Kyle's voice. And she pushed the penis came out of her shoulder. That was just where they pushed it, that grabbed her out of her shoulder like that. I mean, the ingenuity and the innovation and the creativity by everyone that was involved in this project was phenomenal. And it did gross me out, like the scene where I'm holding the door and that arm comes out. I started dry heaving a couple of times because it made me weirded out. It looked so, and I'd get skeeves from it. I'd get away from me. Just gross. And of course you saw the scene where, I'm on the floor with the big guy and, Max shoots him in the face. And of course they spray all the zombie juice into my mouth. The only reason I did that was because, don't worry, the next scene we're gonna have John is gonna get it sprayed in his mouth too. Oh, okay. We've changed our mind. We're not gonna do that. Hey, we're gonna go to the literally a public car wash and you're gonna strip. You're both. You're both going to strip down, and we're gonna spray you clean. Oh, okay. Hey, I'm standing in my underwear. John's in his pants. What's going on? I don't understand. Never mind.
Do you guys have any future projects that you're working on or planning on to work together?
To work together, we're going to do a short film, very shortly called Viridescent, but not like a buddy flick anymore. I would love to do another. I'd love to do Overtime too.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I'm not biased, but I think it's a fun movie. I think it's just a fun. Do you agree? I mean, I just think it's a fun, goofy movie. And I'm supposed to, audition for a part as a Mexican drug lord.
With Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo looks like me.
I'm going to that.
And that's about it.
What about you, John? Any future projects coming up?
I'm currently right now working on Legends and Lies, which is it's a docudrama for Fox. It's about the founding fathers and revolutionary. I've got a great look on that one. Also, I'm working on putting together Viridescent, which is a short that I'm producing, and Al and I are both acting in together. What else do I have? Loss Prevention is coming out this year with both of us. Later this year, I'm flying out to Sweden to work on Legend of Dark Rider, which is it's like a dark epic medieval fantasy. It's kind of in the vein of like Conan, Game of Thrones, 300, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it's probably the best script I've ever been handed. So that's one I'm really excited about.
All right, yeah. Yes, sir, go ahead.
What were your days like on the set? Like, what did it consist of?
Oh man, well, I mean, we shot over a course of about 10 months, so I mean, we were always uncomfortable. Like he was saying, the very first day when I'm standing out waiting for him outside of the house, and we're walking in the car, it was like 100 and something degrees outside. We're outside in 3-piece suits, and it was brutal. And then when we were shooting, all the stuff we did in the warehouse stuff was all, it was all just, it was in the dead of winter, and it was just frigid cold, like 20 degrees in the buildings, and we're running around in tank tops.
But the opening was memorable.
Oh man, yeah, the title sequence. The title sequence, the opening credits where it's, the montage where I'm lifting weights and he's sharpening, he's loading guns and all those cool close-ups and stuff. We shot that in his garage. It was, I shit you not, it was like -12. It was like the coldest day on record in Louisville, Kentucky. He had these space heaters that were just like laughing at us. It was awful.
We were told to hold our breath because whenever we breathed, you could see it. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna do this shot. It's gonna be really cool. Don't breathe." What? Yeah, you don't really quite know what the season is in the movie. It's supposed to kind of be summer or spring, fall, somewhere. We're not sure, but it's warmer than where we can see your breath.
To kind of bring that back though, what were the days like? Ultimately, I mean, working together, the whole cast, the whole crew, everyone there was having a ball. I mean, we had a couple long, rough days, but I mean, it was a passion. There was no money in this thing. I mean, well, we were there because we thought it was a fun script, and we were both. It was my first like headlining feature where I had top billing. We were sharing top billing with someone. So, you know, I was excited about that. And the cast and crew were all really, really good friends to this day. I mean, it was every day when we would go to set, I would be excited about it. Because it was always fun. Just go and hang out with friends and say fuck a lot and shooting guns.
And it was so much fun. It was like a party. I mean, honestly, it was effortless. I mean, we spent a lot of hours together, and then at the end of everything, it was like, you know, you didn't want it to end because you always had that place to go, and you could go hang out with all your buddies and your friends, and you could do fun stuff, and you could do stupid jokes. You know, it was so enjoyable.
It was
And I think it comes
exactly
across.
a wrap.
Yeah, and I think it comes across, you know, on the screen that we genuinely we just had fun doing it. It was a great time.
All right, yes, way in the back there, I can barely see you.
What's the biggest critique that you guys have heard with this
And things were going so well.
The one universal critique. Do you really want to know?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
Why'd you have such an ugly wife? And she's a wonderful person. She really is. And she's a great actress. She really is. But second one is John and Max. Why did you like the girl with the ugly tooth?
Well, I mean, of course, there's a lot of critique for the movie. You know, it was their first stab at making a feature film. You know, so there are flaws. Everyone's aware of the flaws. We were aware of the flaws while we were making it. We had limitations. You know, but you make do with what you have, and it was an incredible victory to even complete a feature film under the circumstances that we were under. As far as probably my favorite critique, are any of you guys familiar with Ain't It Cool News? Do you guys know Ain't It Cool News? It's like I said, I'm a film geek, and it's a big film website. You know, they review film, and it's a film news site. And it's one of those websites that I always check like every day. And I was on there, and overtime review. I was like, oh my god, we're being reviewed on Ain't It Cool News. It was a very cool thing for me because I'm a geek. And I'm reading it, and it was, you know, semi-positive, you know, the couple gripes here, but, you know, overall it's kind of funny. And then it reverted to John Wells as Al Snow's less buff sidekick. That one lived around for a while. Al Snow's less buff sidekick. That is my claim. Yes.
And he keeps getting bigger, and it pisses me off.
Let's get older.
Were you all able to put any input into the movie as far as your character? Is there ways that scenes would go? Like if somebody told you to do something, you said, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Matt Niehoff and Brian Cunningham were both very open to us, you know, adding our own input and suggestions and ideas into both the character and dialogue and just basically everything. But they you know, they had a vision, they had an idea that they wanted, and you know, but they were willing to work within the framework of their vision and allow us to kind of do what we felt was the right thing to do. When we had plenty of conversations, I'm sure John did, and I did as well, you know, where we went and said, well, you know, this doesn't, I don't know if this makes sense, you know, blah, 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 and we'd lay it out, and then they would go, okay, well, how about this, and we'd compromise, and it was a really terrific and fun environment to work in.
Good. I mean, literally, like a good half of the dialogue in that movie is just improv. Like I said, I mean, we'd get to set, we would have a script for the day, we'd kind of read it, we wouldn't memorize it, and we'd run the scene just kind of however we felt. I mean, most of those one-liners are just plucked out of thin air. There's that scene where the door, and I peek out, you know, it's the pull your dicks out of Stephanie, gentlemen. That was literally just, I think they had a line of dialogue that was just like, come on guys, let's go. And Niehoff was just going, let's say something funny this time. Pull your dicks out of Stephanie again. So it was all stuff like that. You know, it's just kind of whatever popped in there at the time. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
To go off that scene where you guys ran out of the building and did the nosedive because it was going to blow up, was that in the script or did you guys go off of? That
was pretty scripted, and that was a fun little fact. When we do the big jump and nosedive into the pavement, couch cushions. They laid down couch cushions. Like, yeah, you'll be fine. It's like a 2 foot by 2 foot pad. Good luck. And that big monologue that I have there at the end, the whole, you know, revelation that Max has, where he's talking to I don't remember her character, Monica. Thank you. The actress has had that fixed, so leave her alone. Priorities. But that whole monologue, which was like a page and a half long monologue, Brian Cunningham, the writer, DP, one of the directors, gave that to me when I got to set. He's like, here, why don't you, they figured we'd give you like a monologue. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, this is like a page and a half. So that was kind of loosely improvised. But it just kind of fell out. But other than that, that scene was pretty scripted.
Anybody else with any questions? Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Just thank you guys for being here and watching the movie, and then Al Snow, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you, Al Snow. We want to thank you. John, we want to thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you folks came out. You know, Don, you know, please come back and see us again. We'll be here tonight at 8. Check it. You know, check in with your friends on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Let them know about it. You know, don't forget we also have on
naked photos.
They don't want to see me naked. So.
Yes, we do.
Oh, now that scared the crap out of me. All right.
Listen, we used to pay 50 cents to see it in a carnival tent. Why not see it for free?
January 23rd, we have New Year's Revolution at the Grudge Center. You know, be sure to get your tickets on NRWProWrestling.com or from one of the local guys you've seen here, our wrestlers. You know, of course, if you have any questions or anything, you can always stop me. My name's Matt or Woody here. We'll be more than happy to help you out. You know, also tonight's is going to be our taping for our ITV series Charge. So we're going to have four matches, if I remember right? Yes. 3 matches, okay. And Woody, why don't you?
VIP.
And also, those of you with the VIP, please, you know, kind of hang out here afterwards. We're going to do the VIP greeting, and you'll be directed on where to go for the meet and greet. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining us here this afternoon. On behalf of the NWA-NRW, my name is Matt. Woody, of course, thank you, Al Snow, John Wells. And thank you, folks, for joining us here at Wrestling at the Movies.
And if you enjoyed the movie, please spread the word, let people know about it, and, you know, get it out there. Thank you.
Just this week, the filmmakers actually just reclaimed ownership and rights over the movie, so they actually make money from it now. Try it now.
Is that how you get money?
No, that's hilarious.
Don't be silly.